So my name's NikiAnne, and I'm here with some beloved friends and colleagues, Terrie, Lewine, and Steve Torma, who we call kind of part of the leadership team of Compassion Camp. And yeah, here to share about camp and answer any questions people have about camp, and hopefully see people in July. Um, so just to jump in to the bare bones, Compassion Camp, takes place at Earth Haven Eco Village, which is in the mountains of Western North Carolina, about 45 minutes from Asheville, 30 minutes from Black Mountain. Um, and we are an intentional community that has a residential community here. And this camp is nestled in between the neighborhoods. So in the village center is a pop-up village in and of ourselves. It's 4 days, 3 nights, Thursday through Sunday. This year, it's going to be July 16th through the 19th, 2026. And it's a family camp. We tend to have, camps in the numbers of, 80 to 100, 110 people at times. Um, and yeah, about a fifth of that youth, and they have their own camp. The kids' camp is concurrent with the adult camp. And yes, they can blend, but just to say that kids have their own thing that is not a bunch of adults talking all the time. Um, and not that camp itself is just that, talking all the time, but adults like to talk, and maybe have forgotten how to play, which is why they're at camp, is to relearn what that's like to be in their childlike spirit. Um, there are nine, is it nine? I think it's nine. I think it's nine amazing meals cooked for us at camp, by some culinary artists from the village. Amazing, yummy, often local, seasonal food. And then we as a camp get to tend our hearth together and practice villaging. I think I'll leave it at that for some of the bones, and turn it over to Steve and Terrie to speak to the essence, and then I'll come back to some of those details and logistics.
Hey, folks. Thanks for being here tonight, and thanks to those of you who in the future who are watching this. So glad that you're interested in camp this year. This has been a love of mine and Terrie's now for about, this will be our 8th year. And um, I love to share about the origins of it for me, which is I started teaching a lot of NVC in Western North Carolina and was meeting all these creative, amazing, compassionate, cultural, creative people, hundreds of them. And I had the thought, and these people really need to like connect and get to know each other because I've always been a community activist, communitarian type, and love to see what happens when creative people get together, share their hearts and their minds. And so um, thought, well, let's do a camp. I could do a camp, but I didn't have any money to back it up. So a couple years later, a friend, in order to support NVC work in Western North Carolina, uh, gave me a grant, gave us a grant, and boom, immediately then I knew camp was going to be possible. So why is it so important to me? Because, well, it was partly because the idea was inspired by Margaret Mead, who at the end of her life said, forget about everything that I told you about working with, you know, NGOs and governments and all that. The thing that I recommend is that you get people together to create a teaching, learning community. And that so hit my communitarian heart and my activist heart. That was probably, in the late 90s, I heard that. And I really believe that the future of humanity, everybody's going to be involved to one degree or another and contributing. But I really believe that one of the most important places where the future will be born is in groups of people who come together and tap into their own creativity. And yes, getting experts to come and do presentations, obviously important, but especially having the creativity and the confidence and the community collective intelligence to say, we can do this together. We can come together and tap our own creativity and community building and organizing and so forth. So that has been, for me, one of the most exciting parts of Compassion Camp is to see people come together. A lot of times people don't even know each other before they get there, and they end up having amazing bonds that are inspiring for them to go out and do things. Sometimes they actually go and do things collectively, create projects together afterwards. But it's the inspiration. And then lastly, I wanted to say that one of the main ideas for Compassion Camp was also inspired by Angeles Arian, who wrote a book called The Fourfold Way, where she said that in her study of human culture, that the four most powerful ways that human beings access spirit or generate energy is through singing, dancing, storytelling, and silence. And then we like to add play and touch. And so I love the blend of teaching each other through a thing called open space technology and using the other parts of our brain and body for play and connection and feeding ourselves at all of these levels: mind, heart, body, soul, etc. So thanks, folks, for being here tonight. Terrie?
Hi, everyone. I'm so glad you're here. As a person who's not from Western North Carolina, and the original mission was to get people from Western North Carolina together, I was a little concerned about what that might be like for me. And yet I went, and really, much to my surprise, even in the very first one, it was real attended by people from all over. I think some people thought it might be a festival. I describe it as between conference and workshop and festival. That's sort of the energy blend that I think Compassion Camp has. We're on the land and it's very healing in that way. And, many people I'm from Philadelphia, many people from my area have gone over the years. One of the things that I've been inspired by is the first year, yes, we wanted to make sure that people were coming for something. So we had people who had some leadership in Western North Carolina, so that we could put it on our website and people would want to come. And very quickly, through that open space technology, we morphed it into this is us. And we are not hiring or inviting people unless they want to come. And it really easily, over all these years, has morphed into we teach each other who has skills, and even the practice of asking for what you want and offering what you want, even that itself is really pretty inspiring and fun to do. NikiAnne typically runs that open space, and I'm always shocked at how quickly it goes, especially as each year progresses and people return. There's less of a what are we doing and more of a I'm prepared to do what this is. And yes, people tend to get their needs met because they ask and make offers, and there's a lot of joy in camp. There's also some, deep feelings that arise, and I'm I keep using the word inspired, but I'm delighted, maybe I'll say it that way, at the capacity that we all have to care for each other in our joy or in our deep waking up to something that might be painful for us. And we hold all that together all at the same time while navigating where people live and where they park and where their tents are. So it's a big deal. We have a delightful staff, knowledgeable staff. My gratitude goes out to Earth Haven and Earth Haveners for embracing this, 100 something people that pop in once a year. And for me, it is well worth traveling this 600 miles to come. And I think most people who travel far would say so. They travel far again. So that's my introduction so far.
Thanks, Tara.
Yeah, thank you both. I want to pick up on a couple of things. So Steve said the words or the phrase NVC, which is nonviolent communication. Compassionate consciousness is another linguistic handle that often gets coupled with that or in lieu of. Um, and open space technology is another thing that was mentioned. And I just want to do my best to share what that means in this context. It's a a curation process, a skill sharing process that's curated by the people present. So those of us who are showing up to this planning session make offers, make requests that then mostly translate into hour and a half or 2 hour sessions, workshops that run concurrently. So I can't remember how many sessions. Let's just say there's 9 slots and there's 5 spaces per slot. It's somewhere around 40 or 45 offerings that get made in the next 2.5 days. Um, and it's voted on by us in the room. And then, a team of us put together some map, constellation of how those all talk to each other in time, space and time. Um, and that happens while everyone goes to lunch. So by the time lunch ends on that Friday, people are looking at the board, kind of really eyeballing what they might be interested in going to now that the schedule's created. So it's a very interactive, dynamic process that usually wows people because most people aren't saying, I would love to sit in a room with 100 people and everyone take a turn talking over and over and believe that it's going to go fast and cohesively. Like that's not the story that people are walking into. And so it's a really cool experience for me as one of those facilitators to be hearing the feedback after the process that the magic happened in the room somehow through by design, but also by astute participation and engagement. We do it together, and deep breaths are taken, and in a pretty short order, we get something that is really representative of the gifts, the longings, the skills, and the practices amongst the group. So it's really powerful. And
I would love to add something really
yeah, go
quickly.
ahead.
One of the things that's fun to watch when I'm sitting in the room is that the collaborations for teaching, or somebody asks for something and someone raises their hand and said, I know about that. So it's both and. It's kind of people who don't know each other end up leading a workshop together. And typically, I don't know if I've ever heard anything other than our workshop was wonderful and delightful. We loved it.
I'm thinking of putting you on the spot, Carl, if you're open. And
Yeah,
Carl's been many times to
yeah.
camp, and I'm just curious if you're willing to share what is at the heart of camp for you. Why do you keep coming back? How does it add meaning to your life?
Well, I've traveled quite a lot in life. I came from California and did a lot of therapy-oriented workshops, and then we adopted children from Russia, and then I lived in Vermont. And the whole idea of being able to bring your experience, I mean, it's almost like we don't need professional facilitators because people are just real. And there's this joyous feeling. I remember one time there was a circling group, and circling is just the technology that's just wonderful. And this is a very different experience. Doing it online is 2D, and this is 3D, where you see the whole body, where you get to interact. We did a contact improv group that was just like being in elementary school again, which I used to teach elementary school, and I just had a lot of joy with that. And the whole idea that um, you can take a person that's maybe a little less skilled in facilitation and they can try some things and bring what you have. And I got to present a workshop one time on grief, and there was about 16 of us, and one woman who was an herbalist brought an herb that we either chose to take or not take. And boy, that group just really got deep. And I also did a workshop on anger last time I was there last year. And a lot of people just, they felt good about having anger as part of their emotional repertoire because there's like an honesty about anger. And I also did one on heart rate variability, which was well received. So, it's just such a blessing to me to put something out. And I'm not a professional facilitator, but I felt really encouraged. And it's kind of magical how there's this synergy. And I'll just say it again, being 3D is just so much more powerful. You see and feel the energy of, and at night, frankly, the dancing, talk about ecstatic dancing, just get out of the way. I mean, it's like the roof wasn't tall enough. So anyway, that's some of my
Thank
experiences
you.
there. Just really, yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, I think what I'm really hearing in the essence of what you're speaking to that really touches me and makes the space really inviting for me is the capacity for camp to hold the paradoxes. Extroverts are ecstatic, introverts are feeling incredible in their experience. Um, Urban folks in a rural environment, um, rural folks feeling at home. I mean, um, those that, yeah, feel like they're new to a community environment and willing to take a risk and show up with courage to be there and really feeling welcomed and held and a sense of belonging. And folks that are, really traveling a lot in community circuits and love showing up to event after event, um, really are feeling like this space meets them with that authenticity. And it was a high, high, high compliment to hear one of our community organizers in our region say, "This is my favorite camp." And I said, "Why?" And it was just like, I get to let my hair down with so much capacity in the space, in the group, and just be held, but also be welcome to hold as well. And so just again, that dynamicism really seems to show up for a lot of folks. It's not for everyone, but it seems to be that um, it's a pretty rich, supported learning environment to try things on, practice, expand, take a leap of faith to trust a little more. Anyway, that's a lot of introduction. Thank you so much for listening. I want to kind of open the floor to others to see if people have questions, logistical, esoteric, however, whatever moves you. Yeah, good enough.
Thanks. Yeah, I jotted down four things so far. Um, what are the sleeping arrangements? Is if there's a lot of information about the camp, I could look at it. All I've gotten so far is the invitation this night, so I don't really know anything else about it, but I've been a communitarian for a long time and I have a lot of skills that, I teach and things like that, but I want to know, I'll just read off my questions. You can answer them or tell me to look up something. What are the sleeping arrangements? How many concurrent sessions are happening at once? Is the food vegetarian? And what does it cost?
Great. I can answer those. Um, let's see. Let's start with the lodging. Um, there, I'm going to go from um, the most local. Someone can commute. You don't have to stay on the land. So that's a possibility. Someone can camp, tent camping, bring your van to sleep in, your hammock, um, a trailer that's up to, I don't know what the max is, something like 23 or 25 feet. So just not something super large. It's hard to turn around here. There's indoor lodging that's shared and private, and that takes place in community members' homes or on their sites in a building that they may rent out. Um, and for private rooms, you can do a private for one or a private for two if there's a couple coming together or friends. So all that's on the website as far as those costs. Um, as far as costs for camp itself, which does not include the lodging, so it would be whatever your choice point is above and beyond that if you're not commuting. Um, it's a sliding scale of $325 to $525, self-select, um, with a scholarship rate of $225. That's for adults. And then the teenagers and children that are 4 years old and older is $200. So 0 to 4 ages are free. And yeah, that's the nutshell. If you have any different needs or questions, then feel free to write about any of those pieces. Um, yes, there is vegetarian options. What our kitchen can accommodate is omnivore, vegetarian, vegan, gluten-free, and dairy-free. If you have a dietary need beyond that, you can check in with us, and it just might be that it's too hard to accommodate with such a large group, and we just ask that you bring supplemental food, snacks, or whatever to make sure you're taken care of. There is a participant cooler that has ice jugs in it that people can keep their stuff cool if they are bringing their own food. And yeah, each session has somewhere between 5 and 6 offerings. Sometimes there's a land walk, like a wild edible tour. So we're able to put in another offering in addition to the tent or covered spaces. I think I covered your questions. I'm happy to answer more if you had a follow-up question on any of those.
Well, I mean, I know myself, I would feel the impulse to want to offer, what I have to offer, but I would also hate to miss anything I'd want to take. So I don't
Yep.
know how I'll balance that. I guess I'll feel that out. Do you do
Sometimes
that?
it's the luck of the draw that something happens at the same time as yours, and sometimes it's a different session, and great, you get to do both.
So you do that offerings and requests right at the beginning and plan the days right from the beginning?
We all arrive on Thursday, or whoever's arriving on Thursday arrives Thursday, and then Friday morning we do this planning session, and then 2 afternoon sessions start on Friday. And sometimes we can accommodate requests like I can only do it in the morning and on Sunday, or so
And then what
there.
happens Saturday and Sunday?
Oh, I'm just saying if someone had like let's say you made an offering, but you knew you needed time to prepare, you can make a request to have it later in camp.
I see what you.
So, yeah.
So then how many workshops are there on Saturday and Sunday?
I mean, altogether, there's about 40 to 45 workshops that happen.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And I didn't mention this, but on Thursday, Arrival Day, we offer an Earth Haven tour. So for those who are coming to check out the community, you can check in and then go on the tour and then go to dinner.
And the food is included in the price, you said, though just
Yes,
the lodgings aren't. Yeah.
correct, correct. Yeah.
Nikki, you want to you want to put the link in the chat?
Great. Yeah, I can. Karen, did you have a question?
Yes, I checked the website, so it's just how I learned about this call, and all of the lodging but camping were X'd out. Does that mean they're already full?
No. Thank you for alerting us to that. Was that in the cart they were X'd out?
It on the info, okay, me and technology, where I clicked to learn about the camp, I clicked on lodging and there were X's on all of
I
them.
see that. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, we'll fix that.
And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to be living in Asheville, a newbie. I don't like driving at night. And then he goes, oh, there's ecstatic dancing at night. I'm like, darn, I want to do ecstatic dancing, but I don't know if I want to drive at night. So I would love if there was some lodging available. I would definitely
Yeah.
feel more comfortable about the whole thing.
Great. Yes, there is lodging available until
Thank
there's
you.
not. It can sell out at times, but we're
What
not
would
in the
you,
sellout phase.
all right, what would you project? Again, everything's in an upheaval right now because I'm in the process of moving. So to make the commitment, I need to get really centered. What would you project as like you really should decide by whatever date if you want lodging? Do you have any ballpark advice?
Oh, I don't on that. It actually does it shifts
All right.
on how the trends of who does lodging when and what. But so we're in April right now. Camp is in July this year. Sometimes it's in August. So just to say it's a little sooner in people's in the season. And I would I would
as soon as
make
possible.
your decision before definitely before a month before, and the
Perfect.
earlier you have more options.
Okay. One more question. What is an omnivore?
That you eat meat and
Oh,
vegetables.
okay, everything.
Like, yeah, you eat
All right.
everything.
Thank you
So,
so much.
yeah.
One of the things that we do get compliments on, besides the camp itself, is the food. Typically, we're eating local food. People, some of it's grown on the land or right nearby. And, we have, if I can say it, amazing cooks, people who are great at what they do. And people love the food there. So, and I think generally there's plenty of it. I don't know. Do we ever run out of food at a meal?
No, I mean, maybe something isn't available for seconds, but the cooks do a pretty good job of making sure there's an abundance.
Yeah, having cooked way earlier in my life for groups, although we were typically vegan, the ones I did, having that capacity to cook for that many different health eating concerns, I think that's amazing. Actually, I didn't know that really. So bravo, NikiAnne.
Yeah, and we were talking a little bit about lodging options and commuting and um we're really advocating for everyone to do what's best for themselves. And you likely would have the best gauge on that. And um I do want to advocate for if you have a possibility to stay at camp residentially and stay for the whole time, I highly recommend it. It is windy roads, um, and it can be, long days, and full. And so if you could rest and watch the stars, um, and not drive, then you're getting to have a chance to integrate and just enjoy more of the slowness that can happen at camp and the silence, as Steve referenced. Yeah, and so because at that camp experience, when you're there and you have the whole buffet the whole time, it seems to give people permission to do stronger self-care throughout and just go, you know what? This is not a session where I'm taking more in my head. I'm gonna go by the creek. I'm gonna just socialize with people longer for lunch and really connect authentically with those
Or take
that
a
are here at
nap.
camp. Say that again.
Or take a
I
nap.
take a nap. Yes. Exactly. So it doesn't put so much pressure on like I need to take advantage of this while I'm here because, I'm leaving and yeah, it just gives more choice points. Hmm.
I have found in years past, I've been had some health issues and always concerned walking up hills. Will I be tired? And it just seems like so much. And I think every year I report that I feel more robust and healthier after being, probably because I'm on the land and here I live in a city. So I think there's also something very healing about staying on the ground and on the land and just being there all day. And yes, there is access to internet and all those things in some version or another, but not as much. And I think maybe people who are concerned about that, I think by, Friday at 4, you forget about it already. Like, it's like, what? I have a cell phone? So there is some healing just from being there and experiencing the land itself and the trees and the air, clean air. It's pretty sweet.
Carl?
Well, I'll just add that, I'm 77 years young, and a lot of people don't look at me and say that, but I am 77. And there's times when I want to have a nap in the afternoon, and sort of the question in my mind was always, well, is this a senior friendly? And, it's interesting that, yeah, I do want to take a nap for 20 minutes, a little power nap, but just to get away from things and then come back to it. Yeah, I found it to be very accommodating. And there are a number of people who are in their 60s, 70s, and maybe, thereabouts that are very comfortable in that environment. So, oh, Mary Beth and Al, hello.
We're all
Yeah.
elders, it looks like, except
Well, and
Nikki.
I just want to, yeah, speak to the intergenerationality. Yeah, I mean, we've had really independent, mature teenagers who have come on their own. There's people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, all the way up. And people coming with children. And like I did mention the kids camp. So that's for, yeah, children that's ages 4 and to 12 is the children's camp, youth camp. And then youth that are older usually are, you know, doing their own thing or coming to a session with a parent. Some sessions are open to all ages. It'll be very clear if it's an adult only session. Um, and then the youth children who are under 4 years old would be with their parents or parent, or a guardian they're coming with. So that's something to consider if you're a family. What capacity do you have to enjoy camp, depending on, the needs of your children and how much support you have. It's like, it is a supportive camp and it's a pop-up village, so it doesn't have the fabric of longevity for some folks who are for new to it and bringing children. So just know that we're here to support, and it'd be worth a conversation if you're trying to figure out how you can be at camp in a way that works for you and your family. Mhm. Anything else? Anything else that either you want to share, Steve or Terry, or any questions or comments from others?
Well, I would like to say that I don't know how much time it would have taken me to guess that you were 77, Carl, which has nothing to do with Kim. I will maybe say this. I mean, that again, I'm from Philadelphia, and so a bunch of people that I know have, over the years, traveled down, and everyone has thought it was worth it. But I'm thinking of a few people who their lives have changed, and that, like, it is a pivotal 4 days. It's one of those intensity. I think change happens with repetition or intensity. And there's one of these things of being together for 4 days where time sort of slows down. And I have had people report to me that my life and my understanding of myself and my celebration of myself has drastically and dramatically changed for the better now that I've done it. So that is, well, I am prone to hyperbole. That is not, those are reports that I get from people. So it's, I don't know how you can measure the magic that happens of the people coming together. That's hard to talk about, but it is a thing. It's a real thing.
I also want to add that while we were talking about open space technology, which is very empowering, part of what that means is that the the topics that get presented can be very diverse, right? On the website, it says, that camp was inspired by Marshall Rosenberg and nonviolent communication, and I mentioned um, Margaret Mead and so forth. But the diversity of topics is really pretty amazing. There's really nothing off limits as long as it's related to creating more compassion in the world. And so that has always been one of the big delights for me. It's like, wow, never thought about a workshop on this particular topic, and here somebody's offering it. So just if you have any concern about, well, would this topic that I'm interested in be interesting to the people? You're always welcome to offer. Not every offering gets chosen because we vote and we can only do 45 of them or so. So sometimes people are disappointed that their particular option didn't get chosen. But most of the time, the people's options do get chosen because one of the things that kind of NikiAnne alluded to was in her curating comment was that we will merge different topics together so that more people will get their topic uh, voted on and voted into the schedule. So love the diversity and encourage you to bring your most creative, edgy topics if that you're interested. And you also, I don't know if this was really clear, but you get to ask for anything that you would like to. And if there's someone in the room who is willing to do that, then there's a good chance that that topic would also get onto the schedule.
Yeah, and the outline of the schedule is on the website, but just to review it quickly, for the full days, I'll kind of speak to the Friday and Saturday, and Thursday and Sunday have a little versions of these, but um, there's breakfast. Well, there's an optional before breakfast session. Sometimes that's yoga or bird listening, um, chanting, meditation. So something that's kind of fitting for that morning practice. Breakfast, morning circle, the whole group, announcements, connectivity, and then morning sessions, lunch, PM sessions, dinner, group circle, PM evening circle again, and then an evening activity. So we kind of have these touch points of the whole, whoever wants to show up to kind of like a plenary session, but it's not lecture, it's more getting current with each other with some light facilitation. So that's kind of the rhythm of the day. So yeah, and the evenings end at 10:30-ish. Sometimes there's fire and yeah, night walks and council hall dances. There's a variety of things that happen on the fringes, on the edges of the day and the night.
Has anyone ever offered circle dancing or journal writing or
Could have. I don't remember, but that's just about my memory. I mean, I Very well could have, yes. And perhaps not in that exact formation. And even if it's the exact topic, someone else teaching it just resonates and does it differently. Yeah,
I'm
Steve and
interested.
Terrie, go ahead.
I just wanted to say a sense that I'm particularly interested because I usually go to New England for the summer, and I go to Kindred Spirit Camp, which has a lot of this flavor, except it's not all created by everybody who's there. It's created by a
Hmm.
large staff who bring the workshops and things to the camp with sometimes campers can add a little something, but this sounds really interesting where the whole makeup of it is from those who are there generating it amongst themselves. That's delightful. And since I think I'm being guided to just do Florida and North Carolina this summer and not go to New England. So the idea of going to a camp that, has that juice, is very appealing. So it sounded
Good.
like this was that. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds
Yeah,
like
I
we
mean, the
have some
topics.
journaling and circle dancing this year.
Sorry?
Sounds like we might have some journaling and circle dancing this.
Yeah, Carl mentioned grief. I've offered a grief circle as well, embracing death and looking at home death care and reckoning with mortality. There's a listening circle that can often happen that is BIPOC folks speaking and others listening. Terrie and Steve have really given a lot of different varieties of basics of NVC, NVC for couples, for families, conflict resolution. Yeah, there's been massage circles. There's yeah, gender-based circles at times, frisbee, softball, yeah, nature walks, somatic experiencing, self-regulation with the vagus nerve. I mean, they're just like it goes on and on of all kinds of creativity. Tantra, um, yeah, I
Art,
mean,
art projects?
art projects. Hmm.
Didn't we'd have a collage one last year?
Yep, there was collaging and there was like icebreakers and kind of improv theater stuff and yeah.
There's people who at dinner, at meals, they're like, we'd like to have a table and talk about this. So,
Yeah, one of them was also how how to have hard conversations across political divides.
wow.
You know, like people were really wanting to practice living on the edge and of what societally has been on the fringes or scary or taboo, and really using this space to yeah, build new skills and be vulnerable in an area with a group of people that are all down for that same journey. So it's consensual. Hmm. Karen, you had a question?
Yeah, just what's the weather like up in the hills there in Asheville and around, in July rather?
Yeah, it'll be warm, but yeah, it's cooler than the flatlands, the lowlands. Um, so yeah, it's more humid than California, let's say. Um, and it's firefly season potentially still, the lingering of fireflies. Um, it's it can be afternoon thunderstorms at times and be with a lot of moisture. We might be in a dry spell, we just don't know. But I it's worth looking. I think on our website on about the location, it has like a general like arc of a year of
Mhm.
temperatures. I would say it's probably like high 60s, low 70s at night, and I don't know, 70s, 80s, hopefully not 90s, but maybe 90s during the day.
Thank you.
Yeah, July and August tend to be the warmest months. Um, and there can be a nice cool breeze, which is really helpful. We don't have climate controlled buildings, so it's fans and windows. Um, And there are outdoor showers available. Depending on your accommodations, you might have an indoor shower. It's mostly composting toilets around the village, but there is a flush toilet in the council hall. Um, and there's the creeks to take a dip in. Hmm.
You can swim in the creek?
You can swim's a
Dip.
strong word. You can dip in the creek.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
Cool.
they're generous with their water, but it's always flowing. But it's maybe somewhere between your ankles and if you're lucky, your
Okay.
knee. Yeah, great questions. Well, I just want to say thank you for everyone's time. And if you have any questions that we haven't answered here, please feel free to reach out via email or phone. Helen is our customer service and registrar, and if she doesn't know the answer, she is really quick to find an answer. And just yeah, really hope that if this calls you, that you come. And if this isn't your year, then maybe next year. And whatever you're doing instead, just blessings on that journey that you're doing.
Yeah, please spread the word to anyone who you think might be interested. Let them know about camp, and it's a real special opportunity.
Great. Well, I'm gonna just stop recording. Thank you for everyone.